So first I want to talk about where you go to apply for jobs. So we currently have the JobX site, which you'll find on the student employment page on the DSU web page. Once you go to the JobX site, you click students and applicants. Here you can locate, find a job, and apply for jobs. Also, there's information here for orientation that needs to be completed. It is completed on Blackboard. To get access to Blackboard, you want to contact Student Employment Office. The International Clearance Forms, information pertaining to that is here. Sponsored Programs, RCR training. This is very important that you complete this in order to get approved to use the Sponsored Program grant. Also, RCR training handout information, required forms, and we'll get into that. Once you go on here, you can also get information pertaining to your payroll, frequently asked questions, and how to enter your timesheet. So again, if you have questions pertaining to the process, you can always contact Student Employment Office via email or phone or walk in. When you come to this page, you want to search certain jobs and you're going to apply for your position. So let's say you apply for whatever. You're going to go through the application process and hit submit. Once your supervisor has either interviewed you and decided to hire you, you will go through a process of approval. Once the budget is approved, you will then receive an email from Student Employment Office. The email will look something like this. Please remember, this is not a notice to hire, not approval to work. Do not begin working until you have received an email approval from the payroll department. Payroll will send an email to your supervisor, letting them know that your timesheet is available and you can begin to work. It'll go into congratulations, it'll have your name, it'll give you information about the hours you can work. It'll also give you information pertaining to next steps. So you want to make sure you complete your online orientation if you have not done so in Blackboard. You want to make sure your I-9 is on file, and you want to have your Social Security card and your photo ID ready. So again, if you're coming into the Student Employment Office to complete your process, you want to make sure you bring your photo ID, your Social Security card. Your Social Security card should have your signature on it as well. Once you complete your I-9 and all your payroll documents, you will then want to also go back to this email and you want to click here. This will take you to the actual confirmation form. If this form is not completed or you skip this process, you will not get processed and it will cause a delay in approval and your timesheet. When you completed your I-9, again, you're going to come in the office, complete your I-9, present your social and photo ID. If you're a returning student and you already have an I-9 on file, we will not have you do that again. However, you want to verify to make sure we have your I-9 on file. Your W-4 must be completed and updated each year. Your W-4 must have the current year to date. So it's 2019, so you want to make sure the W-4 that you load is a 2019 W-4. If it's 2020, you want to make sure your W-4 says 2020. Okay, direct deposits, you can pick up the direct deposit form in our office, complete. However, you have to hand deliver that to payroll. International students, you want to make sure you have your clearance letter from the International Affairs and any other documentation that is required, such as I-94, I-20 for payroll processing. Our office hours are 8:30 to 4:30. You can walk in at any time, or you can contact us, set up an appointment, or send us an email or call us. You also want to make sure you go down and you complete the electronic following required approval documents that are needed, and that is your acknowledgement of student employee responsibilities. You would click on it, read it, sign it, confidentiality agreement, substance use abuse policy program, and student employee performance guidelines expectations. So please make sure you complete all these forms. You will sign off on those. Once you complete these once, you do not have to complete them again. However, you will always receive this email every time you apply for a job and you get hired. So once you have submitted all required documents and they are on file, you will not have to continue to complete these same documents here. However, you still want to make sure that you have your photo ID, your Social Security card, and any documentation needed for payroll readily available to load to the confirmation form. Once you have completed this and you receive the email and you complete the confirmation form, once you click here, it will actually take you to the confirmation form. So let's talk about this. This is the important part that I want you guys to really make sure you understand this, because if not, it will be rejected back. And to avoid the rejection and delay in processing, I want to make sure you get it right. So when you get this confirmation form, this will basically let you know where the funding source is. So SEO, Student Employment Departmental Budget, SGA budget. If it's Title III, and you know that it's Title III, it should say Title III. If it's sponsored programs, it will say sponsored programs. If it's foundation, it will say foundation. So just make sure that this matches the budget area source. You're going to have your name should actually populate. You're going to put in your DSU student ID, your date of birth, phone number, email, your address, the city. If you are a new hire, if you click yes, if you're a new hire, again, you want to make sure you're I-9. You want to make sure you visit the Student Employment Office so we can go over policies, procedures, and the process, so you clearly understand what student employment is at Delaware State University. You also want to make sure your I-9 is completed before you begin working. So if you're not a new hire, just click no. Presently working here, yes or no. U.S. citizen. Whatever your citizenship is will populate the required documentation. If you're a U.S. citizen, Social Security card, please make sure your signature is on it. When you are attaching these documents, you want to make sure that that tab actually pop in and populate before you hit submit. If not, it may not possibly go through, and then we have to reject the form. So make sure you take your time and make sure this information actually pops in. Once it pops in, you know it's there, you know you're good to go. Your emergency contact information, just make sure you have that in, whoever that is, and you fill in all the other necessary information. If you're not a U.S. citizen, it will prompt you to put in your citizenship country, if you're F1 or not F1, and based on that information, it will populate the necessary documents needed. So again, you want to make sure you're actually loading the proper information. Make sure that it's loading before you hit submit. And make sure all your signatures are where they're supposed to be. If your signatures are not there, it will get rejected. If your Social Security card does not have your signature, it will get rejected. Make sure your photo ID is up to date and not expired. Again, when you're using photo ID, it should be, you can use your student ID, driver's license, or any type of identification as a photo ID, not a selfie. The section C is actually a section for your supervisor, so you will see that it's grayed out. That is not for you to complete. So again, just make sure all this information is in properly. Make sure that your attachments are there, and then you can go on and click next. Make sure that you are actually inputting your supervisor's name. Supervisor, not your name. So once you put in your supervisor's name, this form will route to them. So make sure that you have the correct supervisor and know who it's supposed to go to. This person is actually the person that will be signing off on your timesheet. So you want to make sure that it's the correct person. Sometimes in your area, it may be the admin. So make sure if it is the admin's name is here. You hit continue, and then it'll ask you to sign electronically. Once you sign electronically, you will have access to the PDF. The PDF will just give you the information that you input. However, once your supervisor completes and signs, all that information will populate, and you can always ask for a copy if you need one from the Student Employment Office. As you can see, you have signed. Your supervisor will now receive it next. They will sign Student Employment, Budget Office, and then Payroll. Once payroll has approved and signed it, your timesheet will be put up and your supervisor should receive it emailed. Keep in mind, if you are going through the grant process, it will have more signatures included, and so the process will be a little longer, but just make sure that you have the correct supervisor so that it's routed properly. If you have any questions pertaining to how to submit your confirmation form, please again visit